And that led you to the Mankind Project.
The Mankind Project has seen what they saw was a void and tried to come up with a training weekend where a man at any age, 18 through 85, 90, could come and be initiated into a healthy group of men looking for power, looking for self-confidence, looking for self-esteem, looking for honesty, integrity, any of those items that you mentioned that they can find within themselves, right? And what I can find within myself, I might see it in somebody else first, and then I can say, oh, I see that in that man over there, and I want that. And it's actually in you, it's in me, but through mentoring, through the initiation, through the wisdom of other men that have had experiences, I can begin to see it in me and then bring it out and be the man who I want to be.
Welcome to Dedicated Joe, a podcast for men like me who want to get the most out of fatherhood. Because I discovered that being a dad can be more than just parenting or providing or surviving the chaos. Learn how I, every day, use being a dad to transform my identity and become the man I was meant to be. I'm your host, Joe Carr. Let's go. Steven, great to have you on the show.
Joe, thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, we've both been involved in the Mankind Project for many years. I've been in about 15 years, and you're in Houston, I'm in Austin, but seen you at different weekends and things, and asked around for a great guy to have on the show to talk about what it means for that and being a dad. Everybody said you.
Oh, what a blessing, Joe. I'm a proud father of two children, a boy and a girl. My daughter just turned 28. My son's 25. Ooh. So I'm on the other side of raising the kids, but still a very involved dad. It's been a great journey and a tremendous blessing to be a father.
And they're not in jail, so you must have done something right.
Tax-paying, independent children, so young adults. So I must have done something right. They are living their lives.
That's great. Awesome. Well, I'm definitely excited to hear about Mankind Project and your daddy-daughter weekends. But first, tell me how you ended up here. How did you end up, what's your backstory? How'd you end up in doing men's work?
I'm a sober alcoholic. I got sober when I was 23. Wow. And so I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous for 38 years or so. And that was a true blessing because my father was an alcoholic and died an active alcoholic. And so through the men that I knew in AA, I knew several of them had done the Mankind Project weekend and suggested it to me. And then my friend Charles was going on a weekend and he said, come on, let's go do it. I said, sure, let's go do it. I was about 10 years sober at the time. And I thought, life was good. I was married and business was good. And I was like, I'll go do this thing. What's the big deal? And it was an incredible dive into who I am and some of the things I was carrying, or some of the things I had in my backpack that I had put deep in my backpack and had not really realized the impact of what I was carrying around.
What led you to get sober? I mean, that's really young to get sober.
I went to my first AA meeting when I was 17, and it was on me quick. So I knew because of my father's history, I just knew I was an alcoholic from the get-go. I could just not stop drinking. The first time I drank to excess, and I never had any capability of stopping. Just genetically, I have no off switch once I start.
Was your dad in AA?
No, he never got sober. He died a drunk at about 60-something years old. He abandoned all of his children, lost his legal career, had gone to penitentiary, and ended up sacking groceries in Florida. A really, classic story of alcoholism and a destruction of a life.
And you just saw that happening and didn't want that.
Saw that happening, never wanted to be, my father was a great example of who I did not want to become. And, for whatever reason, I was blessed with that awareness at a fairly young age and got into AA and have been clean and sober since.
Was there a bottom you hit that brought you in there?
No, it was really, I just came home from the bar one night. I drank every single day knowing that I was an alcoholic and drinking enough to suppress that thought in my mind that I was an alcoholic and I needed to quit. And so it just one night I came home and I have no idea what the reason is. I was just blessed with some energy to admit that I had a problem and go get help.
Wow. And what have you learned from 12-step? Like, what has 12-step brought for you?
12-step has been an amazing program for me. One, in the network of people that I've met, incredible men and women who have helped me through all kinds of different struggles in life, and then just taught me a way to live. The core of the program is willingness, open-mindedness, and honesty, and to live in a way that I use those tools every single day and to the best of my ability attempt to help other people, which is one of the major tenets of the program, and live a good life and to rely on a power greater than myself, because I was unable to quit on my own. And only through a power greater than myself was I able to stop drinking. And it's given me an incredible life where I've been able to raise children as a father and be sober the entire time. I mean, what a blessing for me, and trying to break the cycle, because alcoholism is genetic or certainly a family disease.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think 12-step is about not using. Like, you go there to suppress the desire to use, and if you drink or do drugs or any other substances to excess, that you have to do 12-step, and it's just like kind of keeps you sober. And I've done a variety of 12-step programs for a variety of addictions, and I can say it's like so much more than that. It's like, I think it's some of the most advanced spiritual work of our age, 12-step. Like, it's just
Absolutely.
What it takes to be sober is so extreme. But then also, like, what the opportunity that you gain from surrendering your life to God, which is really what it takes to stay sober, but also what a crazy way to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And how fortunate I am to be an alcoholic and have the opportunity to go, each week or every day to a place where men and women, I typically go to just men's groups, where we're talking about how do I live life? How do I go through all the challenges of work and relationships and kids and births and deaths and disease and everything that happens to us as we live our lives, and have these tools for living that the steps give us, right? And in a way that says, hey, there's so much out of my control. I really can't control much of what happens around me. And if I can surrender to that higher power and then continue to rely on that higher power as evidence through the steps, but also the people in the program, it's just, it becomes a great way to live. Yeah. Really, it has given me a new freedom and a new peace and happiness, just like the books promise. And, like even during COVID, I was like, wow, thank God I have a place to like log on to on a Zoom meeting and talk to this incredible group of men that I know and share all of our experiences. And I get to learn from other men's experience and a lot of wisdom.
30 years, I mean, you could easily stop going and not drink.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's clearly not about not drinking for you
It's
at
not.
this point. And so you're still getting some kind of incredible benefit, and it's free. It's completely free. And
Completely
it's
free.
Global. Any city in the world,
Absolutely.
you can find a 12-step meeting. So it's like you can find it. It's completely free, and some of the most transformational work I've ever seen done. So
Absolutely.
So if there's anything you could justify as an addiction, I say go to 12-step. Like, we all probably have something, but most of us, addicts, we know who we are. And the 12-step work is phenomenal. And then it got you to a certain place of surrendered and openness to God's will for you.
Absolutely.
And then that led you to the Mankind Project.
It gave me that willingness and open-mindedness to just try something that I had never tried before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
What was it that he said to you about it that made you want to go?
A few men in my life had said, "Hey, go do the weekend." And in classic Mankind Project speak, there's not a lot talked about around what the weekend it is, so you can just go and experience the weekend for yourself. It's an initiation. It's a rite of passage. It's an educational training weekend for men where you get to discover about yourself. And I just went because my friend said, "Hey, let's go." I said, "All right, let's go." I've had a few men tell me that I should go, and so I'm going to go do it. There wasn't anything particular that I wanted to work on. There wasn't anything going on in my life. I was just going on the advice of a couple friends of mine that said I should do it. So I went and did it.
Yeah. And then there's the weekend, and then there's a lot of work after that. So just talking about the weekend specifically, what was your takeaway just from the weekend you did?
Oh, the weekend, I grew up with a single mom and my sister, and so I hadn't spent a lot of time around men, and I typically hung out with women, and so the weekend was a place for me to go experience being with a group of men, feeling incredibly safe, and being able to look at a lot of anger and grief that I had around my dad that I just really had never been able to unpack. And I shed just a lot of tears that I was never in a place that it felt safe or where those emotions came up. And I really was able to let go of a lot of intense emotional energy that I had towards my dad, and his abandoning me when I was 1. And so it was really transformational because I got to start taking a look at, wow, what was the impact of that on me? Because I just kind of pushed it aside for a lot of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I was struck by identifying as a man. They called us men, and I had shame about the fact that I was a man. I didn't really want to accept that I was a man. I thought of men as all these negative things: dominating, violent, consumerists, oppressive. And so I was always unconsciously sort of feminized myself, which made relationships with women very hard because they want a man. But also just was I was kind of at this battle of myself. So that was a big thing for me. I wrote this song at the end of the weekend called "Proud to Be a Man" that understood what being a man meant was not all these negative things, but was actually lots of really positive things that I valued, like integrity and honesty and authenticity, vulnerability, strength, power. Those are all things that I wanted and valued and have been able to cultivate ever since from finding them there.
Absolutely. To find a group of men that are actively working towards being their best selves, right? Being good dads, being good husbands, being good sons, being good brothers. It was just it was an incredible awakening for me. And I love the energy of the weekend and what I learned about myself. And then so I went back probably within 6 months after doing my initiation weekend to be a man on staff, where I got to staff the weekend, which again was a great look into witnessing other people just go through the process that I had done and be able to help them and help them just look at what's working in their lives and what's not working in their lives. And so staffing became this really amazing opportunity for me to continue to work on myself, and to help other men and to just grow. I just could see the growth that I got from kind of getting outside of myself a little bit, doing some things on the weekend that I was uncomfortable doing, but then once I'd done it, I had this sense of accomplishment and a new growth opportunity for me to kind of be a better speaker, be willing to stand up in front of a large group of people and be able to communicate effectively and bond and connect with other men and help other men. It's just been a really powerful transformational process for me.
You call it an initiation. What does that mean?
So I think as children, we're all initiated into a culture or a way of being or family or life, right? And in the founders of Mankind Project, what I believe their judgment of the world at that point was there's no longer a healthy initiation that there used to be, and because you can know, that tribal cultures, the men used to go into the mother's tent and take the boy away from their mother when he was 12 or 13 or 14 at the appropriate time, and take him off into a circle of men and initiated him into manhood. And that in our culture, we've lost that opportunity to be initiated in a good way. As men left the home and went to work for 40, 50, 60 hours a week, the boys had a tendency to grow up without their fathers, even if they were present, and lose that sort of initiation into manhood, a healthy initiation into manhood. And that's the essence of how the weekend was formed. There's obviously...
Yeah, and instead we have versions of initiation like prisons and gangs,
yeah, there's
military or sports teams, fraternities, but they're like boys initiating boys.
Exactly.
And we end up with a society run by boy values.
Exactly.
Which is like the ones I named: domination, consumerism, objectification, selfishness. These are natural boy values. Boys are naturally that way, versus man values of integrity, honesty, power, compassion. And so you're saying Mankind Project's kind of recreating the manhood initiation that tribal cultures used to have, and initiating men, not boys, but they're already grown men, but taking them from boy consciousness to man consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as boys, as young men, we all yearn to grow up and be men. And like you say, there's a lot of unhealthy rite of passages that are available to us as boys in our culture. And the Mankind Project has seen what they saw was a void and tried to come up with a training weekend where a man at any age, 18 through 85, 90, could come and be initiated into a healthy group of men looking for power, looking for self-confidence, looking for self-esteem, looking for honesty, integrity, any of those items that you mentioned that they can find within themselves, right? And what I can find within myself, I might see it in somebody else first, and then I can say, oh, I see that in that man over there, and I want that. And it's actually in you, it's in me, but through the mentoring, through the initiation, through the wisdom of other men that have had experiences, I can begin to see it in me and then bring it out and be the man who I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we don't share a lot of specifics of what happens because we want the element of surprise as part of the experience. So you don't know what's coming. What can you say about what happens? Like, what could you say vaguely about kind of the general framework of it?
The general framework is that it's, Friday night through Sunday afternoon. It's just a series of processes that allow you to bond deeply with your group of men. You'll go through with a group of men, maybe 20 to 40 men, and then the staff will be generally 30 to 60 men on staff that have all done the weekend. No one's ever going to ask you to do anything that they haven't already done themselves. Mm-hmm. And the processes are designed for you to be just a man among men. And we take away a lot of the cultural things that might have defined you, or hey, I have a watch on, and so I judge you because of what watch you have, or what car you drive, or where you live, or what your job is. And so on the weekend, a lot of those outward things that are symbols of our quote unquote place in life are they're no longer with you for that 48-hour period, and you get to just connect with other men as a man and really dig deep into what's cooking for you. Are you happy at your job? Are you happy in relationship with your partner? Are you a good dad? Are there things that happened in your childhood that are still driving you today? And how does that impact you? Was your mom present? Was your dad present? How did something happen at school or whatever might be cooking for you today that actually drives your behavior?
Yeah.
And so we talk a lot about the Carl Jung concept of shadow, and that part of ourselves that we hide, repress, and deny, and how that actually might be driving our behavior today.
Yeah, big for dads, I'm sure. And so
Big for dads.
essentially 3 days and highly intentional, all inclusive. Every moment is planned intentionally. It's been around since 1980s. We've initiated like 80,000 men, I heard, nationwide or globally. And I've never met a man that didn't go from here to here. Men who come off the street never doing any personal growth work at all have a huge awakening. Men like me who've done all kinds of personal growth stuff still advanced very dramatically. So there's something about the immersive nature of it and the incredibly well thought out processes that bring us all the way down to the darkest parts of ourselves to see that, and then let us come back stronger, more powerful, and in community with a powerful group of men.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a classic initiation process, and there's a descent, there's a hero's journey, and there's an integration of who you want to be coming back into your new way of being, and it's a very powerful weekend.
Yeah,
and it will challenge you in a good way.
And it doesn't stop there. So you do like a weekend. It's just the beginning. What's next? What can men join after the weekend?
A lot of men just do the weekend and they have an experience and they go on. The opportunity is to stay within the community of men, and there's what they would call integration groups or I groups. I'm in a group that meets weekly. I've been in that group since 2003. So 23 years on Monday nights, I've been meeting with men, and we're in just an opportunity to share once a week or every other week about what's going on in your life. As you transition through. Some of my closest friends are the men in my Monday night I group, and then you can also, there's all kinds of different trainings that the Mankind Project has. Leadership trainings and facilitation trainings and inner emotional work trainings, trainings about mother work and father work. And, there's all kinds of different things that are available through the Mankind Project. And for me, staffing has been one of the greatest gifts. I've generally staffed about 1 to 2 weekends a year ever since I've been involved. And so I've staffed about 45 times, and I've been able to staff in, different locations around the United States and Canada. The wonderful thing about Mankind Project, it's literally around the world. It's a pretty incredible grassroots story of growth from the first weekend in the 80s in the Chicago area and Wisconsin to becoming a worldwide organization. So I found staffing to be just an incredible opportunity for me to grow and also just meet so many incredible men. What a great network of men that is available in the Mankind Project.
And so once a man's gone through the weekend, he can join an I group in his city, or if he moves to another city, there's I groups in every major city in the U.S. A lot of them in the world, and so you basically can go join any I group anywhere for life.
Absolutely,
and those are basically free. I mean, sometimes men rent a space, chip in for a space, but otherwise they're free, and you just join that. And I've been in mine for 10 years, and I meet every other week, and these men, we go through it together. They're the guys who would show up if my house burned down, or we're in the hospital after my baby was born. I mean, these are like ride or die kind of guys, and all because we're bound together by this shadow work we do, showing the deepest parts of ourselves to each other. It's very bonding.
Yeah, I continually read about how in our current culture, loneliness is such a crucial factor because I think we're all more isolated on our devices or on our computers, and that's how we're connecting is through social media. And so to be able to show up in person and have that face-to-face opportunity to connect with other men once a week or every other week, it's just it really fills the soul. You know, we had a man whose grandmother passed away on Sunday, and he came in Monday night and just was able to just share deeply about what his grandmother meant to him. And it was just beautiful to be able to hold space for him and witness his, his work around his grandma and what a beautiful woman she was and how she impacted him. And it's just a sweet, sweet night, just little things like that when to be able to share those experiences together is really great.
There's just not very many places that do that. I mean, if you're in therapy or in 12-step or like talking to friends about stuff, these things happen in our lives, either in the past or in real time, that are just so intense. There's a lot of emotion or feelings that need to be had. We call it processing, need to be processed through. And there's something like talking to a friend about it, talking to a therapist about it. It's not the same as like a powerful group of men that circle around you and create these unique processes to allow you to feel it all the way, which is what we do on the weekend, but also like in iGroups can do it to like take this all the way through you. And I just always feel so much like lighter and freer after I process something that's gone on, and there's nowhere else that I could get that.
Nowhere else. I've never felt, the amount of safety and trust that is available to men and in these groups it's incredible. I don't know where else I can go.
Yeah.
And I do, I go to AA to stay sober, and I go to my men's group to divulge and be vulnerable and to witness and to help other men and facilitate and share, and just, you can bring anything.
Yeah.
And
anything.
And over years, everybody has different things that they're going through, whether it's divorce or birth or death or, transitions of family members, et cetera, et cetera. Life keeps happening to us. And to be able to share that with a safe, valued circle of men is just I crave it. I go as often as I can. And once, I would call myself more of an introvert than an extrovert, but man, every Monday night I'm at my iGroup.
Yeah.
Love being there. Love just hearing about what's going on for every other man there. So I'm so connected to those men.
How did so your kids were pretty little when you started, so you've had this throughout your whole parenting adventure. How did it affect you as a dad?
It really gave me the opportunity to be in relationship with a lot of men who were fathers. So when I had all these questions, because I didn't have a dad that I could talk to, right? And so I had all these men through the Mankind Project that I was able to say, hey, what do I do here? Hey, what do I do there? Just sort of normal dad questions. And that was a huge benefit to me as we become fathers. We've never had any experience, it's all on the job training. You really have no idea what you're doing. And so what a beautiful journey, but there's a lot of fumbles along the way and a lot of opportunities to kind of figure it out. And so to be able to ask questions and have trusted men to talk to about everything was really great. The most important thing I learned from my absent father was how critical it was for me to be present. And so I took my kids to school in the morning and made them breakfast and picked them up in the afternoon, and made life choices to spend time with my kids that honestly were I could have certainly worked more and maybe been more successful in my business, and I made choices to be present as a dad instead of that, because I feel like that was the most important thing. Certainly was for me. I wanted to make sure that I was present as a father, and then doing the emotional work that I did on the weekend helped me just stay aware and awake and conscious to what being a father means and how I could show up for my kids.
Being present. Physically, obviously, your dad wasn't even physically present. He
was
left.
not.
So just even showing up and being there with them, but fully presence more than just physically, like our attention and our energy with our kids. It's ultimately all they want.
All they want.
And it's very hard to do.
Get on the floor and play trains with my son, and, set the phone aside. Don't, just not pay attention to anything else, but pay attention to your kids.
Yeah. That's what they want. It's also, if we're going to enjoy them, if our goal is to enjoy the short time we have with our kids as they're little, being present with the enjoyment of it, similar as we'd be present with any fun or joyful thing where you'd want to be there. Why do it if you're not going to be there with it? And so I think the Mankind Project work teaches a presence, both from in I groups on the weekend. There's this sort of like there's this masculine presence. I feel it when I go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Like tell me to sit in the woods for 2 hours by myself, I'd go fucking crazy. But like you give me a rifle and it's dawn and I'm hunting a deer, I will sit there, it's like hyper aware. So like it tunes into this like ability to like be hyper present that men naturally have in a emotionally charged situation or in a very calm situation, depending, and emptying out all the charges or unprocessed stuff that's going on in me that spins in my head or keeps me from being present. The inner child wounds that I carry that I project onto my kid. That's where I think Mankind Project really creates that space for men to process that with other men, so they're not processing it with their families.
Yeah, absolutely. The ability to stay present, I think, is just a human challenge, right? There's so much going on. We're all so busy. The mind's always spinning. And so to have that ability, like you say, to process or to share with other men and talk about what's going on allows me to dump whatever charges, stuff I have cooking, and then focus on where I am in the given moment. And what a powerful gift that is to your family, to be able to fully be present energetically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and be in the moment and be with each other. Because in the end, I think our relationships are really what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And doing this podcast, one of the things I've learned is that it's fairly simple, but also very complicated, is being a great dad is really just being a great man. And I don't know if it's true for women, if the mom identity is specific, and if, you can be a great woman in all these ways and not ever be a mom, but for, at least for men, and I've just seen that all the values that a dad needs are these man values. A dad needs to be present, he needs to be accountable, he needs to have integrity, he needs to be strong, he needs to be protective, he needs to be vulnerable, and these are things that great men are. And there's not very many resources teaching men this, like we said, boys are teaching boys how to be different versions of boys. And so Mankind Project's pretty unique, and really any men's work one does, I think, would help with this. Just looking at what it is to be a real man in this world. But Mankind Project's available all over the world, so it's at your fingertips.
It's a great resource for sure, and like you say, I think that we look to our dads and our grandfathers to teach us how to be men. Yeah. And there's deep respect for any man that has the luxury of growing up where you get taught honesty, integrity, the right thing to do, how to treat people with respect, how to treat women, and be a good man, be a good father, be a good son. And the reality is not every boy gets that growing up. Yeah. And so there is the opportunity to maybe learn some of those skills that you may or may not have learned growing up, even as a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, or a 50, 60, 70-year-old. You can still learn these things like integrity. Do I really do what I say I'm going to do? And it's challenging, right? To follow through on all the commitments that I make. But at least I can live in a way where I'm focused on keeping my word, being in integrity with my word, and then cleaning it up, taking responsibility for myself when I don't do what I say I'm going to do, and to stay in right relation.
Yeah. And emotional awareness is a big one. I think that men don't get taught how to identify their feelings, how to express our feelings. Women and children really need this from us. They're highly emotional beings, and the stereotype of that like stoic robot man who can't feel or can't feel their feelings. I think Mankind does a lot to help with that, like to teach emotional awareness, how to name them, how to feel them, how to express them, how to support others in expressing them, and super gift for families, I think.
Yep. Men are humans, right? And anger, fear, sadness, joy, grief, shame, all normal human emotions, and men all experience them. And like you say, we are sometimes taught that none of those should ever be seen, and to just stay stoic. But it doesn't deny the fact that all of that's going on inside your being all the time. So to have some emotional awareness, to be able to be vulnerable and share, and our women want us to show up that way.
Yeah. And children. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so this affected your parenting, and then eventually led you to create these father-daughter weekends.
Oh, through the Mankind Project, I was on an email list, and there was a father-daughter quote unquote weekend in New York, and it was just Saturday morning to Sunday morning. And so I flew up with my daughter to New York City when she was 12. And we participated in this. And I didn't really expect to get what I got out of it. But my daughter, again, the event gave my daughter space to share things with me that I had never heard before. And like something that had happened with her when she was 5, 6, or 7 that she had this memory of that I didn't have the same memory. So it was a very different event for how she experienced it from how I experienced it. And so, through the 12 steps and also through the Mankind Project work, being able to be present, to be open and willing to listen, and to validate her and her experience, it really created this deep, connection for us, and that she was able to share her truth, share her reality with me, and it just really connected us. And I had such an amazing experience. We flew to New York Friday night. We did something fun, and then we did this weekend, and then we went to a Broadway show on Sunday. We flew in on Monday. We just had a great connection time between between father and daughter, and I came away from that experience saying, man, I want to do this in Texas. This is really powerful work. I got to witness other daughters with their dads and talk to other dads, and so I started Father-Daughter Texas in 2011. And we've been doing a father-daughter weekend Friday through Sunday since 2011. So 15 years. We do this weekend once a year, and we generally have anywhere from about 20 to 40 participants. So, 10 to 20 father-daughter pairs. I have had dads bring 2 daughters. I've had dads bring 3 daughters. One time I had a dad who had brought 2 daughters in the past. He got remarried, and his 2 biological daughters had such a sweet connection with their dad that they wanted him to bring his 2 stepchildren that he had just married into. And so all 4 of them were on the weekend together, and he was doing this connection work with his 2 new daughters, right? And so it was really sweet.
The original daughters came also?
And the original daughters came also,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So it was incredible. And I've just gotten such amazing feedback from dads and daughters about what happens on the weekend, that it always, anytime I ever falter from my desire and mission to continue doing the weekend, it's always buoyed by somebody saying something about how meaningful the weekend was to them.
How do you convince the girl to come?
That it can be hard, especially a 15-year-old, a 17-year-old. Why do I want to go do this thing with you, Dad? Right? Especially in that rebellious stage. It can be challenging. No one's convincing anyone to show up, right? I mean, if the daughters don't want to come, don't come, right? If the dads don't want to come, don't come.
Yeah.
If there's willingness to be present and have a desire to have a better relationship between father and daughter, then you should come, right? I mean, we will give you an opportunity through some different processes. We play games. We do one-on-one connection, and we do group connection, and the daughters always connect. Like the younger daughters connect, the older daughters connect, and the dads always connect deeply because they're all asking each other, hey, what are you doing with the 17-year-old? How are you approaching dating? How are you approaching driving? How are you approaching drug use, right? And how are you dealing with the fact that your daughter is becoming a woman and she's a sexual being, right? How do you deal with all these issues? Well, guess what? There's a place where you can go and talk to other dads about how they're doing it. And I have dads with 20, 30, 40-year-olds that can say, hey, we did this and this really worked, or this didn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I have dads with 12 and 13-year-olds that are just soaking it up like, oh, my God, here we go.
How'd you pitch it to your daughter?
She wanted to go. And my daughter still participates. She's 28. She just turned 28. So,
but the original New York, when you said, hey, there's this thing in New York for dads and daughters, she said, sure.
Let's go.
She was just into it. She didn't have to sell it to
the
her.
amazing thing is we have a age restriction of 10 years and up, right? It's kind of, the weekend's a little too intense for anything younger than 10.
Yeah.
10, 11, 12, 13. The daughters want to spend time with their dad.
Yeah.
The opportunity for just the two of them. No mom, no brother, maybe with a sister, maybe not with the other sister, just to hang out with their dad. They want that so much. Dads, you're missing out if you're not spending one-on-one time with your daughter. And so they want to come, and they have a great time. They really enjoy hanging out with the other daughters. We have some intense moments, and then there's other moments where everyone's just sitting in the dining hall playing games, Uno, Connect Four. We have a talent show on Saturday night where you bring a guitar or tell jokes or just do anything silly you want to do. And so we kind of have, I think, created a beautiful blend of intensity and spontaneous, fun moments throughout the entire weekend that give you an opportunity to really connect with your dad or your daughter, but also make space for honest conversation. And I've had so many conversations with dads and daughters where it was like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so to take 48 hours out of your life to connect and deepen your relationship, it might change the rest of your life, how you relate to your father or how you relate to your daughter.
That's great. You do them in the fall usually?
We actually generally do it in June. This year, we've always thought about doing a fall weekend. So this year, we're doing it October 9th through the 11th.
All right.
At Land of My Grandfathers in North Zolch, Texas.
And people can come from all over.
All over. I always get at least 3 to 5 dad and daughters from New York, California, Chicago, Florida. I haven't had any international attendees yet, but yeah, they're always available, and we'll make sure to pick people up at the airport. I'll do anything I can to make it financially more feasible. It's $700 for the entire weekend for both dad and daughter.
Yeah, it's all inclusive.
All inclusive, right?
Yeah.
So you get 2 nights of lodging, you get meals Friday through Sunday, all the supplies.
That's great.
I really, nobody gets paid out of the organization. We're a nonprofit. And I keep it as low as possible to make sure people can attend. And if the tuition is something that reduces your desire to come, then talk to me and I will make sure that we subsidize. Because I have men that have done the weekend that say, if there's anybody who wants to do the weekend, I will sponsor a scholarship.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
That's how impactful it was for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so where can people learn more about Daddy-Daughter Weekend?
Oh, it's www.fatherdaughterweekend.org.
Yeah. Father-Daughter Weekend, okay. And the Mankind Project's mankindproject.org
Yeah,
as well.
Yep, I think so, yes.
Yeah.
And
so-
we're not affiliated.
Right.
Father-Daughter Weekend is a completely separate
Yeah.
nonprofit organization, separate from Mankind Project.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, this is awesome. This is super great resources. Any other cool resources you like for dads, for men?
Oh, I don't know of anything off the top of my head, Joe. I appreciate your asking.
Yeah.
There's so much material out there that's accessible, podcasts and books. I always say connection is the number one resource.
Yeah.
And finding, men and women that you can trust and connect with is the number one resources. There's so much information at our fingertips, on our phones, and at our computers, but there's a lot of material that may not serve you well also. So connect, right?
It's great. Cool. Well, I always like to end with, what's one thing you wish you would have known as a dad? If you could go back and tell yourself one thing.
One thing that I wish I had known as a dad is how hard it is when they're 18 and growing and gone, right? It's just what a joy. The one thing I know as a dad is I never knew how deeply I could love. And when I had my kids, it just cracked my heart open, and I love my children so dearly, and what a great blessing to be a father.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you. Well, thanks so much, Stephen. Really appreciate all the work you do for addicts, for men, for dads, for daughters. Really great stuff. Can't wait for Della to get old enough to come on one of those weekends. Sounds amazing. We'll definitely be there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone, please subscribe to the channels wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps me reach more dads. And drop in the comments something that you want to do with your daughter, something you and your daughter could do together sometime soon. Please share this with any dads in your life and stay dedicated.